Hey there guys, so Anthony Yarde's first challenge for a world title has ended in a loss. He lost to Sergey Kovalev in the 11th round after being knocked out, but he did have Sergey Kovalev going in the 8th round. He almost had him out of there. And you can always wonder if he would have picked his punches better, maybe he could have had him out of there. He was a bit erratic and he's never really been in that position before against a world level fighter, having them going and almost winning that world title. I think perhaps in that instance when he saw Kovalev wobble and his legs stiffen, he probably thought, I've got this, I've got him. And he saw his name up in lights and imagined lifting that belt over his head, maybe got a bit ahead of himself and just threw the kitchen sink at him instead of picking his punches and pulling Sergey Kovalev apart. Because Kovalev was hurt. Even when he came out in the 9th round, he still needed time to recover. But Anthony Yarde was just too tired to do anything and try and finish him. Now, Anthony Yarde had a lot of success when he got close to Kovalev. Kovalev has a very good jab and he manages to keep boxers at range. He is a very good long-range fighter. And that is what he done with Anthony Yarde. He kept him at range and Anthony Yarde couldn't negotiate his way past the jab. In fact, he got hit with the jab way too many times. He didn't really have an answer for it. He needed to be moving his head a lot more, especially when he came forward. Because when he started walking Kovalev down and walking forward and pressuring him, Kovalev didn't like that. But Anthony Yarde was still getting peppered with that jab. And it was giving Kovalev opportunities to escape. And Anthony Yarde needed to be moving his head a bit more. But ultimately, when he did get close to Kovalev, Kovalev didn't like that. And when he started working the body, that is when Kovalev started to break down. It's just he couldn't maintain that assault going into that 9th round because he put so much into the 8th round. Now, it was a very good challenge from Anthony Yarde. Even though he did lose the first 7 rounds up until that 8th round where he had Kovalev going, he did lose those rounds by a small margin. It's not like Kovalev completely schooled him. Maybe you could have the 3rd round going to Anthony Yarde, but that would be generous. Maybe he did even draw that round, I don't know. But it was close in that round. But ultimately, Anthony Yarde was not losing the rounds by wide margins. They were just being nicked by Kovalev. He was just doing enough, which shows that Anthony Yarde does belong at world level. As I said, it's just the fundamentals, the things like negotiating his way past a jab, moving his head, slipping the jab, and then getting on the inside. Because Kovalev did not like it when Anthony Yarde managed to close the range and get close to him. He looked uncomfortable every time Anthony Yarde came forward, and that was Anthony Yarde's key to victory, and he almost got it in that 8th round, but as I said, he punched himself out. He looked a bit tired after the first round, Anthony Yarde did. His mouth was open and he was breathing heavy, but that was the occasion, I believe. It's not always about being the fittest in there, it's also how you handle the occasion. That can zap your energy quicker than anything. And it was a big occasion for Anthony Yarde in Chelyabinsk, in Sergey Kovalev's backyard. It was always going to be a big ask for Anthony Yarde, but I think he done himself proud. It was his first world title fight and his first step up to world level, and now he can be considered a world level fighter. And I believe he's probably 3 or 4 fights away from another world title shot. He could have a world title shot within the next 18 months, but he does need to stay at world level. It's no good going back down the levels again, back down to British level or anything like that. He needs to maintain his world level status. He needs to go in there and fight good fighters. I think Jean Pascal will probably be a good fight for Anthony Yarde, probably next year. I think probably a good thing for Anthony Yarde would be to get back out this year in December so he can get back to winning ways. And then next year, maybe early next year, March sort of time, get him in there with Jean Pascal. That would be a good fight for Anthony Yarde because Jean Pascal is coming off a good win against Marcus Brown, and I believe that Anthony Yarde has the beating of him. And obviously that would keep Anthony Yarde around the world level scene. And I think, to be honest, Anthony Yarde should set his sights on Artur Beterbiev because I think that is a good fight stylistically for Anthony Yarde. More so than Sergey Kovalev and definitely more so than Dmitry Bivol. I believe Bivol is the best in the division at the moment. But I think in a year to 18 months time, when Anthony Yarde does get another opportunity at a world title, I think Beterbiev would be his best option. Because I just believe that Anthony Yarde's style would be all wrong for Beterbiev. But Anthony Yarde does need more experience at world level. He needs to find a way to negotiate his way past a jab, because he doesn't seem to have much defense when it comes to that. He seems to get peppered with the jab, and fighters will know that now. So he needs to move his head when he is coming forward. But when he does come forward, Anthony Yarde does look really, really good. So I think he needs to stay at world level, get a fight in December, get in with someone like Jean Pascal, and then try and go for the IBF world title. Probably get in the IBF rankings and work his way up to be mandatory. Because I don't think Artur Beterbiev will particularly fancy fighting Anthony Yarde, especially after that performance. Because Anthony Yarde was causing Kovalev problems. So Anthony Yarde is in a position where fighters won't want to fight him because he's a nightmare, and they don't really gain much if they beat him. So he needs to stay at world level, try and get in the IBF rankings or the other governing bodies, and work his way towards another world title fight. After the fight with Sergey Kovalev, Anthony Yarde's career just went to a whole new level. Although he did lose, his career has just begun. Guys, what are your thoughts on this Anthony Yarde's challenge for the world title against Sergey Kovalev? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, click the thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks, guys.